Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to discuss editorial that have appeared in The Hindu on June 4th. The first article is regarding Index of Industrial Production, which is published by Mosby. It is significant to note that the index has been revised with the new base year of 2022-2023. Also, different changes have been made in the basket of goods as well. The April index shows 4.9% year-on-year growth. It holds that Indian industry fundamentals have been resilient despite disruption caused by global supply chains and Iran-Iraq war. But the article argues the granular reading of the report shows the resilience is far from broad-based. The article gives two arguments. First, capital goods output has expanded with a robust 16% year-on-year growth, which reflects public expenditure and infrastructure spending by the government. By contrast, consumer durables and consumer non-durables have only expanded by 4.3% and 2.8%, which is relatively modest. This shows fuel and energy costs have exerted pressure on household consumption. Further, the article gives some of the facts that may be important for prelims point of view. The article says the series have been revised to give a better reflection of the structural changes that is being experienced by Indian economy. A fourth major sector has been included, which is water supply, sewage and waste management, which has been given a weightage of 2.2%. Electricity category has been expanded into electricity and gas supply, while the weightage has risen to 10% from 7.9%. Manufacturing remains the dominant sector, while marginally reducing its weightage from 77 to 76%. This shows the importance of value-added infrastructure and utility service for gauging Indian industrial activity. The second article pertains to a conflict between two constitutional principles, principle of open justice and principle of informational privacy. While the constitutional law upholds the principle of open justice, in K.S. Puttaswamy judgment, Supreme Court has recognized right to informational privacy. The article argues that recent Delhi High Court order on May 29th concerning the right to be forgotten illustrate how principles can sometimes point in the opposite direction. High Court has acknowledged that updating court's record simply would not suffice, as search engines could accept small portion without sufficient context. Court also said that open justice does not demand ability to discuss particular detail pertaining to a case without using accused person's name and ask website to de-index their searches from the accused name. The article argues that real problem is incompleteness, not discoverability. If the court has acquitted or discharged a person from a dispute, anyone looking for the proceeding should be able to find that decision rather than limiting the searcher's ability to find the original decision. The article recommends that judiciary must impose conditions on any platform, including court registries, indexing legal information to refresh their database on the regular basis. The article is about bringing Adivasis into the mainstream. On March 31st, 2026, India was officially declared Maoist free. On May 29, Union Home Minister during a press conference said that fight against Maoism is incomplete until every residence is integrated into the mainstream. Home Minister also mentioned that the next milestone will be 2031 when we will ensure overall welfare of Bastar's Adivasis. He also said that government intend to deliver welfare scheme at the doorstep in the local communities through dedicated centers operated by security forces. He emphasized on empowerment of Adivasis through tiered system of governance which include tehsil level and up to the center. The article says Constitution envisaged two parallel channels of service delivery. First, the appointed one, which include Tehsildar, District Collector, and others, while the second is Panchayati Raj, which is elected representative. The article warns that these channels should not be converged or overshadowed by government appointed channel, which normally is seen on the ground. The article critiques that there was no mention of the grassroots governance as guaranteed in the constitution. The article says welfare scheme laying roads, installation of mobile communication tower do contribute significantly to ease of living. But the larger issue related to Jal Jangal Zameen will ultimately determine people's trust in the government. The article says there is an opportunity for the government for completing unfinished agenda of implementing PESA Act. The article says that in fifth schedule areas, the record of PESA implementation is decimal as it was given to the states who have often interpreted and applied the act differently, undermining the letter and the spirit. The article says today Adivasi is with the government largely due to the security force tactical victory over Maoist. However, as the security challenge recedes, the government will be tested by Adivasis on the parameters of justice delivery. The article gives some of the positives of PESA Act with decentralized governance at its core. It elevates Gram Sabha to the cornerstone of local self-governance. Gram Sabha is granted decisive power to safeguard Adivasi interests, manage community resources, and resolve local disputes according to their customary laws. As per article, it will lead to a positive peace, which is far beyond the mere absence of violence. But the state government often attempted to circumvent the authority of Gram Sabha in the pursuit of their own objectives. Article gives an example of Chhattisgarh government's 2022 proposal to amend the act by replacing consent by consultation. That would eventually dilute the Gram Sabha's veto power, undermining the essence and the spirit of PESA Act itself. The article says for people to place trust in the government, the structural and historical issues must be addressed. Upholding and strengthening the constitutional guarantee should be the primary concern of the government. The article says government should allow through participatory governance for Adivasis to define what the mainstream for them is. The debate over judicial holidays have resurfaced again in the recent weeks, with the critic questioning why the court observed extended breaks. The article argues for most of the judges, holidays are rarely holidays in the conventional sense. The article says people only see what is the visible part of the work, judge presiding in the courtrooms and hearing arguments. What people are not able to see is the longer phase that begins after the courtroom, when the judge returns to their home to write judgments. Each judgment requires close analysis of the facts, application of legal principles, reference to the precedents, precision of the language, since each word carries a legal weight. The article says this pattern is not unique to India. It gives the example of famous Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of United States, who was a judge for 27 years in United States Supreme Court. The article mentions her long working hours as well as when she underwent a surgery for colon cancer and pancreatic cancer, she scheduled her procedures not to dismiss a single day on bench, shows her dedication to work. The article argues there are only few professions outside the bench that demand such sustained intellectual output year after year, that too with little public recognition for the labor involved. The article says mornings are noisier for judges. They have to read voluminous case files, study the precedent, and prepare for day's hearing. Similarly, judicial breaks are not the period of rest, but a working window during which they complete the pending judgments and study lengthy cases. On holidays, judges are occupied with their laptops and files or video calls with clerks. The time supposed to be shared in the company of their family is regularly interrupted by the judicial work. Thus, the judicial service is not only an individual commitment, it is a shared one for the whole household. The article argues that economic side of the bench is not as lucrative. The article also discusses the economic side, which is often not discussed. The judges received a structural and respected salary, but it is not comparable to what a senior lawyer can earn at the top end of the bar. A senior advocate may earn in a single hearing what a judge earns over several months, while a judge carries a greater burden of decision making and accountability. Many take benches after giving up lucrative practices, choosing serving the nation rather than pursuing financial gain. The pressure do not end with workload. Judicial decisions are scrutinized publicly and legally. The author gives example of Justice H.R. Khanna in his biography Neither Roses Nor Thorns. He acknowledged that his lone dissent in ADM Jabalpur case cost him Chief Justiceship of India. The article says the debate on judicial holidays deserve a more informed footing. Before questioning the system, it may help first understand what it actually asks for those who serve it. And in the last, there are some points which can be useful for main site answer writing regarding the startup industry in India. That there has been a shift of startups from tier 1 concentration to tier 3 towns, which now made up 70% of the startups. Further, the article says the age and gender distribution of the startup founders reveal a strong presence of youth. The third point is about women representation in the startup ecosystem. The compound annual growth rate of women founder stood at 20% as compared to 14% for the men. This is it for this video. Hope you like this video. Please do subscribe for more.